All right, so in this video, I'm gonna show you how to connect launch control into Pebble. And what that means is you are going to do your mass texting through launch control. And once you've qualified that lead and you verified that lead, you wanna bring that conversation now into Pebble so you have everything recorded against that property. Now you wanna bring it inside of Pebble because it contains everything, including documents, marketing history. We capture everything about that property. So once, again, you've qualified the lead, you wanna bring it into Pebble. And I'm gonna show you how to do that through something called Zapier. So I'm gonna go into my screen right now. A couple things we need to do first to set things up. First of all, of course, you have to have a Zapier account, and I have one already. So coming into Zapier, all you're going to do is hit Create Zap. All right, I've already done this, but I'm going to show you the beginning steps. In Zapier, you have something called a trigger and an action. And in this example here, we're going to make the assumption of you want to find the existing contact, find the property, and then you create the deal on your deal board. There's no need to push it into your inbox because you already qualified that lead. Your inbox inside of Pebble is typically for qualification purposes. Now, please note, it's important that you bring in your properties with the contacts, right, the owners, into Pebble as a campaign first before you run the marketing texting with launch control. Once you've brought it in, it exists inside of Pebble so that when you then start your marketing through launch control, when you get a lead and you qualify, you push it into CRM, into Pebble, we have all that information already existing, including the contact and the properties. So that's why we're gonna find the contact that exists, find the property that exists, then put it into a deal and onto your deal board. Now, your deal board, just as a reminder, if you don't know, this is your deal board. Here is a deal. It contains the contact and the property, and this is how you manage it through the different stages, okay? All right, so again, coming back into launch control, we're going to go ahead and set up the trigger. Now, they require to use something called webhooks, okay? And what you're going to do is choose an event here, and it's called catch hook. You're gonna hit continue, and then continue on the next step. And then you're gonna grab this, what we call a webhook URL. You're gonna copy it. You're gonna then go into your launch control dashboard, okay? And then you're gonna go into settings here under integrations. Oops, this is a staging account for me. I'm gonna go to Zapier here and I'm gonna hit connect and you're gonna paste that link right into here, all right? Now you've connected your launch control into Zapier. The next thing is to actually build this out. Now, I'm not gonna actually take my time here and build it out because it would take me like an hour. I'm gonna try to make this downloadable for you as well. So if you head over to pebblerei.com/launch control, we're gonna actually have built out the framework for you. It's not gonna be perfect. It's gonna look something a little like this, okay? I'm gonna explain exactly what's happening, but essentially we are finding the contact, finding the property, and then we're creating the deal within Pebble. Now, to start off, we have something called the catch hook, which we set up already. The next thing we're going to do is connect it and create the very first action, which is to, if we go to setup here, is on Pebble. It's going to ask you to log in. Yours is not called staging. It's just going to be REI Pebble. The event is to find a contact, okay? Then we're going to configure that step. We're going to base the contact to look for it based on the first name, the last name, even the phone number. But I'm just going to do, I'm going to actually edit this. I'm going to come into here. I'm going to actually just do the first name and last name. Don't forget to add a space between the first name and last name, okay? And you can see we already pulled some example data from launch control. I forgot to mention that. When you hit test here, it'll pull some records so that Zapier knows where to map this data out on, okay? So we already have example data. That's very important. We're gonna configure this so we have Phil and Zingle as an example from launch control, all right? And then we're gonna run a test. And again, we're gonna try to build out some of this already for you so you have a basis to play from. Then we're going to go and find the property. But there is a chance that we could not find the contact. I don't know what it could be. Maybe you never brought it into Pebble or something, or you deleted off Pebble. Then we need to create the contact. So you have this sort of split path where path A, if they could find the contact in step 2, so we create a path split here and we call it custom rules. We'll say in step 2, the Zap search found status is false right now. But if it is true that we did find it, then we go ahead and create the property. If we could not find it by hitting Boolean is false, and this one is Boolean is true, then we'll come to this path where then we need to create the contact. And The action event is create a contact. We configure it. We base it on the name here, the first name, last name. This is all pulling from that example data that I mentioned earlier from step 1. Okay, when we tested it, it pulls that example data. All right, so let's just assume we found the contact, and then now we're looking for the property. Now, there's a chance the property also didn't exist, or it does exist. If it does exist, great. Let's go into path E here. And you can see it refers back to step 5. If the search was found status is true, then we're going to go into this path here. We set Boolean is true. Then we're just going to create the deal. And the deal is based off of information that we found. The deal name, or maybe we'll call it launch control deal dash, and then this is dynamic, fill and Zingle. So we'll always name it first name, last name with the launch control deal at the beginning. And then we haven't actually completed this yet, so I want to finish this with you. This is going to go into the first stage of the board, a seller deal board, and it's going to go to the first stage because we connected our Pebble account. And then the contact, well, the contact is going to be based on that very first step that we found in step 2. So we will go and make sure this is dynamic, okay, custom, sorry. Then we'll go to step 2, whatever the ID is here for the contact. So we're going to select that. Oh, sorry, stage ID. Oh, I selected the wrong thing. Sorry, this stage ID is static because it's going to lead in. It's this one that I want to set up. It's custom. It's going to be based on stage. Where is it? Custom. There we go. Stage 2, we found the contact, and the contact ID is this one. All right. And then the property ID, well, the property is the one that we found. So we can base it on step 5, and this is also custom. So we now go to step 5 and look for the ID of that property. All right, and that's it. So we're going to create the deal here. I'm going to hit save, and then deal was sent. Okay, so it is already published, so we don't need to publish it right now. All right, so that is if everything was found. Now, there are chances, again, if you couldn't find it, well, that means you have to create it. And so when we're creating that, let's, for example, say we're creating the contact, you go to configure, it's based off of step 1 information that we pulled. So we're going to create a new contact inside of Pebble. This step would be called create a contact. We're going to configure that based on the information here as much as we want to pull in. Great. Now we're going to find the property. Again, if we cannot find the property, we're going to create the property. Now, I don't know why I have a find county. I'm going to delete this. We don't need find county. And then we're going to create the property. So the property setup is called, the event is called create a property. We're going to configure it, and we don't have a county ID. So hopefully we can find it. Maybe we don't have it. So let's see if the webhook provided it. I don't think so. Even if we type in county, oh, there it is, property county, awesome. So it's inside of launch control. We have it. We know it's from launch control because of this symbol here from step 1. Okay, well, where's the contact ID? Well, the contact is what I created in step 13. So you can see here, I'm going to backspace this. I'm going to show you. This is custom, all right? We're going to go to step 13 and then look for the ID, and that's the ID. All right, and then same thing with the property. We're going to hit continue here. Test step. Gonna push, oh, something's wrong here. The county ID, oh, because we didn't have the information. So when I got the example data from launch control, it actually didn't have something filled up for the ID. So you need to make sure you have something completely filled out on a contact. Otherwise, it can't map it. But I'm just gonna skip this, that's fine. And then I'm going to do the final step and create a deal, which I showed you earlier. So you can see there are going to be conditional logic here as we're finding the contact. They may or may not exist. Well, if it doesn't exist, we got to create it. Then we're going to find the property. If it may or may not exist, and if it doesn't, we got to create it, and then we're going to create the deal. The deal doesn't exist yet in most cases, but you can even look for a deal and update deals as well. You can bring in your conversation. You can put that into the notes of the deal. So if I go to create the deal, I go to configure. Let's see, create a deal here. Contact ID. I want to continue here. Oh, sorry. It would have to be update deal. So then I'll hit, I'm just creating the deal. Then the next stage would be, let's just build one more out here so you understand how this works. If I wanted to, I believe there's an update stage or update deal. I can then go into this. Okay, well, I'll have to find the deal ID, which was the previous step. Let's see if I can get that. There it is. I don't need a title. I'll go to configure. Oops. Okay, and then what I want to do here is look for the steps. Search step here. Maybe I'm going to take a step back here. Create a note is what I wanted to do. So I want to actually create a note on the deal, which I can do so. There it is. So sorry, telling me a mistake there. I need to create a note on the deal, and I'll hit custom on which deal ID. So that was in step 20. That's this on deal ID and the text. So I can actually go, I think, and grab the entire content, the message content, and bring the entire conversation over into Pebble as well. All right, you can see there's a lot here. Now this doesn't move forward here because we have to go back and troubleshoot. It's probably because I don't have the county. So I think everything else looked good. Does not exist. Oh, I think we haven't actually created the deal. But nonetheless, you would assume that the deal was created inside of Pebble, and that should run. All right, so this is an example one. We're going to share this so you have the framework, you can build off of it. Unfortunately, for support when it comes to Zapier, you know, you can try to explain it to us, but we don't sort of dive into Zapier and troubleshoot. Neither will Launch Control and neither will Zapier. Unfortunately, this is sort of a known thing about Zapier. And so the best bet here is also to just bring somebody in from like Upwork or some sort of Fiverr to help you sort things out and figure things out. Don't build an automation unless you know you need it. It can be very, very challenging to do so. And it took me a long time because I kept getting a lot of errors. So I'm definitely not a Zapier expert, but that's how you build it. I hope this helps. And then what you're going to see is that contact get created inside of here. So I'm actually just going to try to push one through here. Oh, by the way, I need to show you how that happens. So you come into the inbox. In order to push to your CRM now, since you've connected it, hopefully I have an existing one here, even though it says no, you have to do 2 steps. You have to verify this phone is verified, then you hit push to CRM, and that is it. Give it a few minutes. You can check your Zapier. I'm just going to go to your histories here. You can always see if it ran and what happened to it. It hasn't happened yet, but you would typically see it something like this with a success, and then you will see it created on your deal board here on the bottom. But it can take a few minutes, but that's how you connect Launch Control into